Hi, I'm George, the Weather Dad, with a look at your next 6 days. What's it going to be like? Temperature-wise, nothing really all that extraordinary, with the exception by the later on in the week, we're going to start seeing some heat build up in the central plains. But overall, temperatures are going to be pretty close to normal, and we're going to see, though, a fairly active weather pattern for basically the eastern half of the country. We'll get to that in just a second, but temperature-wise, first let's take a look at Sunday's weather, and not too bad. Some heat up in the high Rockies, certainly out to the west, and very muggy and hot across the southeast. But temperatures here, again, yellow reflecting normal temperatures, not too bad. We're going to be a little bit warm, but not too bad. But where you see some yellows is where we're going to have some clouds as well as some rain. Jumping now to Wednesday, got a couple areas here. We have a front sitting in this area, and that's going to give some cooler temperatures. Not necessarily cold, but a little bit cooler because of the clouds and rain. And up here, up in the Great Lakes, and this is on Wednesday, this is the next system that's going to bring a nice little shot of some cooler air to the Midwest and even potentially down into the Southeast. Now by Friday, you can kind of see it, again, the rain, cool air down in the southeast. Temperatures warming up a bit again as we head on into the latter part of next week, and you can see the heat building there in the central plains. I think that's going to move towards the east. The big question, though, is precipitation. That's the big weather story, if you will, for the upcoming week. This is on our Sunday, fairly wet across the Gulf Coast. A little bit of a storm system producing some shower activity here in the southeast and some spotty showers across the Great Lakes and even the central Mississippi Valley there. Fairly dry, though, off to the west. Now by Monday, things start moving towards the east. We're going to have a frontal system in this area, and that's why it's going to be a bit unsettled here. We have a system developing up in the high plains, up in the Great Lakes region. And that's what's causing those showers there. Fairly wet, though, again, along the Gulf Coast. By Tuesday, we could possibly see a little bit of severe weather in this area, the Tennessee Valley, mid-Mississippi Valley, and even potentially up here in the Great Lakes as the next system starts pushing its way towards the southeast. It's going to run into some fairly muggy air. That's why there could be some severe weather, but no really great wide breakout of severe weather that I can see at this point in time. So that's certainly some good news. And then here by Wednesday, again, some heavy rains down in the southeast and along the Gulf Coast. And then here's that next system pushing its way into the Great Lakes. And this is on Wednesday. And then by Thursday, this system produces a lot of rain in this area here. There could be, if there's any type of severe weather, could be more in very heavy rainfall, maybe some localized flooding. We have to keep an eye on that. That's on Thursday. And then here on Friday, we can see, again, more down into the southeast and around the Gulf Coast. And looks like Houston, you're in for a very wet week there for you. I think this is a little bit too far north. I think most of this rain will be down to the south. I think next Friday, next weekend could be fairly dry. But notice how dry it is for those of you off towards the west. This is the Great Lakes almost all the way to the west coast. All right, the other big question is, what about the Atlantic tropical system? We have a lot of what we call African dust, keeping things at bay. This is for next Friday. Nothing really developing. There could be a little disturbance there in the southern, the Caribbean, but nothing really developing because two things. Not only because of the African dust, and that gives us a lot of dry air, and tropical systems really don't like that, but there's also a big dome of high pressure over the Gulf of Mexico, and that's also suppressing any type of really development. Now, that's not to say something could quickly spin up, but nothing here is showing that for the next week or so, things are fairly quiet in the Atlantic. That's your next 6 days. Have a nice weekend, what's left of it for your Sunday, and of course next week, those of you in the southeast and eastern half of the country, you just may want to keep some rain gear handy. I'm George, the Weather Dad.